Against terrorism and criminality. Agriculture Minister announced reforms for food security. Abroad, Kenya calls for protection of its citizens in Tanzania. Good evening and welcome to the Delta Television Main News. I am Ogaga Ekama. You can also follow our news online on Facebook or YouTube at Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, or visit our website at www.dbsasaba.com. The State Governor, Right Honorable Sheriff Oborevwori, has called for innovation, sustainability, and equity in Nigeria's infrastructure development. Governor Oborevwori, who made the call at the 30th meeting of the National Council on Works held in Ado-Ekiti, Ekiti State, said meaningful national growth could only be achieved through strong collaboration among all tiers of government and active participation of the private sector. The governor, represented by the State Commissioner for Works, Comrade Ruben Izeze, reaffirmed the state's commitment to developing infrastructure as a driver of socio-economic transformation under its administration's MORE agenda. He commended the Federal Ministry of Works for sustaining projects funded by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited (NNPCL) under the Road Infrastructure Development and Refurbishment Investment Tax Credit Scheme, describing the initiative as pragmatic and forward-looking. The governor also urged the adoption of innovative financing models that combined public investment with private capital to ensure efficiency and transparency. He pledged that Delta State would continue to collaborate with the federal government to promote inclusive growth, unity, and national development. President Bola Tinubu has pledged to strengthen global engagement and intensify the fight against terrorism and criminality in Nigeria. Speaking at the Federal Executive Council meeting yesterday in Abuja, the president said his administration remains committed to national unity and security under the Renewed Hope agenda. He acknowledged the country's economic and security challenges, but expressed confidence in ongoing reforms. President Tinubu said the government would continue to mobilize investment and deepen reforms to achieve a $1 trillion economy by 2030. The federal government has announced new agricultural reforms aimed at ending hunger, boosting food production, and cutting down post-harvest losses in the country. The Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, and the Minister of State, Senator Sadi Abdullahi, disclosed this in a joint statement. Senator Kyari said the reforms are part of President Bola Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda for food security and national prosperity, describing agriculture as the backbone of Nigeria's economy and the foundation of national renewal. He explained that the government is implementing key programs such as the National Agricultural Growth Scheme Agro-Pocket, the Renewed Hope Agricultural Mechanization Program, and the Nigeria Post-Harvest Systems Transformation Program known as NIFAST. According to the minister, the NIFAST initiative is designed to reduce food losses, improve quality, and stabilize prices by strengthening post-harvest handling and storage systems across communities. Kyari also highlighted recent innovations, including the successful introduction of rain-fed wheat cultivation in Plateau, Taraba, and Cross River states, which marks a major step toward all-year farming and self-sufficiency in wheat production. In addition, the federal government is enhancing operations at National Strategic Grain Reserve silos in several states and has approved the recapitalization of the Bank of Agriculture with 1.5 trillion naira alongside a 250 billion naira financing window for smallholder farmers. The government says these measures will strengthen Nigeria's food systems and bring the country closer to achieving sustainable food security. The wife of the state governor and founder of the UMATA Charity Foundation, Dickiness Tobore Oborevwori, has called for greater inclusion, respect, and opportunities for persons with visual impairments. Dickiness Oborevwori made a call as the National Association of the Blind in the state marked the World White Cane Day, which is observed on October 15 around the world. Violet Monye reports.
Dickiness Oborewori, represented by the chairman of the Delta State Local Government Service Commission, Dame Mimi Igberde, noted that although modern technology had empowered the blind through tools such as screen readers and smartphones, true inclusion depended on people's attitude. The governor's wife announced a donation of 50 white canes through the You Matter Charity Foundation.
Don't see yourself as a nobody. You are somebody. Trust in the Lord. Always be prayerful. Hold on to the Lord. Something good will come out of you.
The Chief Host and Commissioner for Women Affairs, Community and Social Development, Honorable Pat Ajudwa, represented by Mrs. Juliana Ireye Jofu, emphasized on the theme towards a safer physical environment for the blind and called on citizens to always extend a helping hand to the visually impaired for their safety and well-being.
That symbol of the cane tells us that when you see on us now that sees or that are not impaired, we must give assistance to anybody you see with a white cane.
Earlier, the chairman of the National Association of the Blind, Delta State Chapter, Comrade Edere Edison, and the National Zonal Coordinator, Mr. Ikemakuram Ofili, explained that the white cane symbolized empowerment and visibility, showing that the blind had the right and ability to move independently and safely. They called on the government to make the environment more accessible for persons with visual impairments.
The white cane is not just a tool, but is a symbol of independence, hope, and possibility. It helps us to navigate around our immediate environments.
I'm calling on the Delta State government to pay more attention to this, our environment, to be inclusive, so that everyone can have easy access to our environment, especially our roads.
Beneficiaries of the white canes expressed gratitude to Dickiness Oborewori for her support.
I want to say I appreciate her very well, and I pray that God abundantly bless her.
We are grateful. Thank you very much.
The event featured a keynote lecture on the presented by a member of the association, Dr. Ifeoma Okoli, and a poetry performance by prolific writer Moses Uzwakbundu. Violet Monyu reporting.
Students of Graceville High School, Asaba, today embarked on an educational excursion to the Delta Broadcasting Service, DBS, Asaba. Henry Usiayo reports.
The visit was designed to expose the students to the practical aspects of broadcasting operations and media ethics. Accompanied by their teachers, the students toured various departments, including news, programs, and engineering, where they observe how radio and television content are created, edited, and transmitted. In an interview, some of the teachers said the excursion was part of the school's extracurricular activities aimed at giving students first-hand experience of how a broadcast station operates. They commended the management of DBS Asaba for the warm reception and the enriching experience.
We've learned, we've seen things we've not seen before. We now understand how broadcasting is done. We've seen the TV, how news is broadcast, how the radio is aired and all of that. So it is more than what we expected, and I believe the children are very excited about the whole experience.
Just to bring the students to this place today is because one thing about life is knowing fully well that knowledge is power and no knowledge is a waste. Them coming here, we expose them on how the things they see on television, how it's being done, especially how the news are being casted, and how the radio they listen to.
Some of the students described the visit as both enlightening noting that it has deepened their understanding of broadcasting processes and sparked their interest in media careers.
It's a wonderful, fulfilling. Thanks for asking, actually. I feel prestige to come here to learn some few things. I also like to thank them for this wonderful experience. It was not only joyful, but it was also a wonderful educational process.
I learned about the radio thing and then the broadcasters and then the editing room. I learned a lot to say.
The excursion featured guided tours of key selections of the station, including the master control room, edit suites, television studio, transmitter room, radio studio, among other facilities. Henry Usiayu reporting.
Similarly, students and pupils of Delta Royal Academy Asaba visited Delta Broadcasting Service DBS Asaba on excursion. Again, Henry Usiayo reports.
The students, who were accompanied by their teachers, were conducted around various departments of the station, including news, programs, production, and engineering, where they were shown how radio and television contents are produced and transmitted. Some of the students expressed delight over the visit, saying the experience has broadened their understanding of how programs are created and aired.
I tell my school management, thank you for making us enlightened about these things. Thank you for bringing the education aspect out of the school.
I learned so much things in this place. We have many division of radio broadcasting. I really enjoyed every bit of it.
The school teachers thanked management of DBS Asaba for availing them the opportunity to bring their students to the station to have a first-hand information.
We needed a space where children can learn without being in a classroom, because we found out that sometimes learning in a classroom keeps them in one spot. They don't really get to experience things outside the classroom. So we thought of it and said, how else can they learn without being stuck in the classroom? So we decided to step out of the class.
The students were opportune to witness a live broadcast, as they were also conducted around major facilities in the station. Henry Usiayu reporting.
The need for effective and efficient service delivery has again been emphasized as a key factor in achieving productivity in the workplace. The head of Service Compact, Servicom in the state, Honorable Funkekeme Solomon, made this known during a sensitization visit to the management and staff of the Asaba Specialist Hospital. Violet Moyer reports.
Honorable Solomon, who x-rayed the assets of Servicom, charged the hospital management and staff to ensure that every service rendered is acceptable and meets public expectation. He stressed that the goal was to make the hospital a model of effective service culture. He added that the main objective of Servicom is to promote acceptable and efficient service delivery in line with the more agenda of the state government.
We are here to draw attention to the need for reorientation about the way services are rendered in this hospital. This hospital is rated as a specialist hospital, and also I'm told that it's a teaching hospital. So it's not an ordinary hospital.
Earlier, the Chief Medical Director of the hospital, Dr. Peace Igosewe, commended Governor Sheriff Oberewori and the Servicom team for the initiative, noting that it would enhance better service delivery to citizens across the states.
Existing for a long time now as an arm of the parastatal under the federal government, and has decided to use the Servicom to ensure that quality of service is optimal, and also patients are also made to realize that staff also have rights too whilst attending to the patients.
The chairman, Servicom, of the Asaba Specialist Hospital Unit, Dr. Prince Ofudu, highlighted the importance of Servicom and stressed the need for staff to be knowledgeable about the service they provide and be abreast to address customer complaints at all times.
Servicom, like we know, is a service compared with all Nigeria. and then this is a Delta State chapter. So our goal, the aim of Servicom actually is to improve service delivery, so to ensure accountability and to promote transparency and rebuild public trust in Asaba Specialist Hospital.
Honorable Solomon, who is also the senior policy advisor to the governor, was accompanied by the functioning permanent secretary in the office of the special advisor to the governor on Servicom and labor relations, Mrs. Uche Onwusanya. Violet Monye reporting.
The Federal Inland Revenue Service (FIRS) will on Monday unveil the Nigeria Tax Reform Act at a stakeholder engagement in Abuja, marking a major step in the federal government's plan to simplify the tax system and boost revenue efficiency. Themed Impact on the New Tax Laws, the session aims to help Nigerians understand the key changes and their effects on taxpayers, businesses, and the economy. FIRS Director of Taxpayer Services, Dr. Lovett Ononuga, said the reforms are designed to make the tax system simpler, fairer, and more transparent while promoting voluntary compliance and supporting investment. Top government officials and experts including Taiwo Oyedele, Ifeeko Omoigi Okwaru, Matthew Gbonjubola, and Tayo Kolesho are expected to speak on how the new laws will be implemented and their likely impact on economic growth. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Wide Shaibu, says troops of the Nigerian Army will sustain offensive operations until insurgents are completely denied support and sanctuary in the northeast. General Shaibu made this known during his maiden operation visit to the Theater Command of Operation Hadinkai in Maiduguri, Borno State. According to a statement by the Acting Director of Army Public Relations, Lieutenant Colonel Apollonia Anele, the Army Chief urged troops to intensify their efforts towards crushing the remaining terrorist elements and restoring lasting peace to the region. General Shaibu reaffirmed the Army's commitment to President Bola Tinubu's directive to consolidate gains in counter-terrorism and counter-insurgency operations, stressing that the Nigerian Army would leave no stone unturned in achieving total victory. During the visit, the Army Chief also paid a courtesy call on the Shehu of Borno, His Royal Highness Abubakar Ekanemi, where he sought continued prayers, intelligence support, and cooperation from traditional rulers and citizens. Responding, the Sheikh commended the Army's gallantry and humanitarian interventions, noting that no local government area in Borno State is currently under terrorist control. He pledged continued collaboration with the military through intelligence sharing and community support. Highlights of the visit included an operational briefing, commissioning of the Heroes Transit accommodation at Mimalari Cantonment, groundbreaking for new barracks quarters, and visits to wounded soldiers and frontline troops in Bama and adjoining sectors. The Army Chief assured that the military remains resolute in restoring peace and stability across Borno State and the wider Northeast Corridor. The Nigeria Employers Consultative Association (NECA) has expressed support for the federal government's proposed 15% fuel import tariff, describing it as a strategic step toward reviving local refining and strengthening the economy. NECA's Director General Mr. Wale Smart Oyerinde stated this today, noting that the tariff would encourage local production of petroleum products and reduce Nigeria's dependence on imports. According to him, even developed nations like the United States are adopting protectionist policies to safeguard their industries, adding that Nigeria should do the same to rebuild its refining capacity. The federal government had earlier approved the tariff increase in a directive to the Federal Inland Revenue Service and the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, mandating enforcement of the policy. While critics argue that the move would raise fuel prices, NECA insists it is necessary. It is a necessary step to promote industrial self-reliance and economic growth. Mr. Oyerinde further urged the government to extend similar protective measures to the manufacturing and retail sectors, saying Nigeria must discourage unnecessary imports and support local production. The The NECA boss maintained that such policies, if properly implemented, would reduce pressure on foreign exchange and pave the way for a stronger, self-sustaining economy. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has restated its zero tolerance for vote buying ahead of the Anambra governorship election. INEC Chairman Professor Joash Amupiton made this known at a press conference in Abuja, urging members of the public to provide evidence of vote buying for onward investigation by the police. Professor Amupiton reminded political parties and voters that vote trading is a serious offense under Section 151 of the Electoral Act. He said the Commission was ready to work with law enforcement agencies to ensure that those involved face the law. The warning comes amid controversy surrounding a reward scheme linked to the Anambra State Governor, Professor Charles Soludo's campaign. Critics claim it encouraged inducement, but the governor insists the initiative only rewards party members, helping to mobilize grassroots participation. As preparations heighten for tomorrow's governorship election in Anambra State, a coalition of accredited election observers has commended the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, for its level of preparedness. Speaking at a press conference in Awka, the coalition said INEC had demonstrated transparency and commitment toward conducting a free, fair and credible election. The coordinator of the Grassroots Development Center for Peace and Social Justice, Mr. Augustine Okafor, who spoke on behalf of the group, revealed that over 350 observers had been deployed across the state to monitor the exercise. Okafor expressed satisfaction with INEC's distribution of non-sensitive materials and praised security agencies and the state government for restoring peace in previously troubled areas. He commended the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetukwu, and the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security for deploying more than 60,000 security personnel to ensure a peaceful process. Also speaking, Mr. Sarki Danjuma, chairman of the Initiative for Promotion and Civic Obligation for Sustainable Peace, cautioned against vote buying and urged the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, to arrest anyone caught engaging in the act. The coalition reaffirmed its commitment to credible polls and adherence to the principle of one man, one vote, as enshrined in the Electoral Act of 2020 on ensuring transparency and public confidence in the Anambra governorship election. Our Federal High Court in Abuja has fixed November 20 for judgment in the terrorism trial of Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the Proscribed Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB. Presiding Judge Justice James Omotosho announced the date after Kanu declined to open his defense, despite being given 6 days by the court to do so. Justice Omotosho ruled that the defendant had been granted sufficient opportunity to present his case, noting that he could no longer claim denial of a fair hearing. Earlier, the court had allocated 6 days for Kanu's defense after the prosecution closed its case. However, Kanu, who has been in detention since his rearrest in 2021, chose to waive his rights to defend himself against the federal government's terrorism charges, which he denied. The highly anticipated judgment is now scheduled for November 20. Still to come on the news, Kenya calls for protection of its citizens in Tanzania. Details of this and more coming up shortly.
Some say learning is fun, but as a mom, I see how demanding it can be for my child. That's why I ensure he starts every day with a cup of Bonvita. Bonvita, prepare them to win every day.
So, there is a small problem. Despite all the entertaining ads we've created for you, some of you still haven't tried our services. Come on. First of all, we are a licensed microfinance bank. Sorry about that. For instance, you can open a business account with us and get our POS with it. It's good for your business.
99.99% reliable.
I love it. Our card, it dey work.
My money no dey hang.
You can open a business or personal account with us in minutes.
Ai na bude na daga wannan kujera.
Our customer care is available. Abi? So, when it comes to reliability, security, convenience, and speed, you only need one bank.
Join millions of happy customers. The MoneyPoint app or find an agent near you to get started.
This ad is the MoneyPoint ad. Don't forget that.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us on the news. The global scene is next as we join our world news desk.
Kenya has called for the protection of its citizens caught in the ongoing post-election violence in neighboring Tanzania. Kenya's Foreign Affairs Minister, Musalia Mudavadi, made the appeal during a telephone conversation with his Tanzania counterpart, Mahmoud Thabit, following reports that some Kenyans had been targeted during the recent unrest. The violence erupted after Tanzania's presidential election last week, in which President Samia Suluhu won by a wide margin, securing 98% of the votes. In her inauguration speech, she condemned the violence and accused foreigners of fueling the unrest. Minister Mudavadi confirmed that formal reports of rights violations against Kenyans have been submitted to Tanzania authorities for appropriate action. He stressed the need to safeguard the rights, safety, and dignity of Kenyans living in Tanzania, estimated at about 250,000 people. Meanwhile, Tanzania faces growing international criticism over alleged use of excessive force to suppress protests, which opposition sources claim have left hundreds dead, figures the government has strongly denied. Iran has strongly condemned what it described as savage Israeli attack on Lebanon following a series of airstrikes that hit targets belonging to the Hezbollah movement. In a statement released today, Iran's foreign ministry called on the United Nations, the international community, and regional powers to take action against what it termed Israel's warmongering behavior. Tehran also extended condolences to Lebanon over the deaths of civilians killed during the bombardments. Israel confirmed yesterday that it struck several Hezbollah positions in southern Lebanon, saying the operation in the death of its leader, Hassan Nasrallah, last year. According to Lebanon's health ministry, one person was killed in the latest attack. Although Israel and Lebanon signed a ceasefire deal in November 2024 to end over a year of hostilities, Israel maintains it reserves the right to strike Hezbollah targets it considers a threat.
Governor Sheriff Oborevwori has congratulated veteran journalist and Arise News analyst Dr. Reuben Abati on his 60th birthday. In a statement by his Chief Press Secretary Sir Festus Ahon, Governor Oborevwori described Dr. Abati as an accomplished journalist whose professionalism and intellect have greatly enriched national discourse. The governor wished him good health, long life, and continued success in his service to the media and the nation. The Speaker of the State House of Assembly, the Right Honorable Omotimi Guo, has commended the teams that participated in the 2025 Zenith Bank Delta Principals Cup, describing the tournament as a true reflection of the rich sporting talent in Delta State. In a statement by his Chief Press Secretary, Mr. Ike Mweke, Right Honorable Guo noted that he donated the trophy for the overall winners in demonstration of his passion and commitment to grassroots sports development. The Speaker congratulated the winning team, Urobo College, Efru, and applauded the Ogbijo Grammar School for their resilient performance. He also commended the Zenith Bank and other stakeholders for sustaining a credible platform that promoted sports development, teamwork, and healthy competition among schools in the state. Let's join our sports news desk for happenings in the world of sports.
The Nigerian Football Federation has lodged formal complaint with FIFA over what it calls a clear conflict of interest in the appointment of match officials for next week's crucial 2026 World Cup qualifying playoff against Gabon. The NFF is protesting the selection of referees from South Africa and Benin Republic, 2 countries that were part of Nigerians' qualifying group, arguing that their involvement threatens the neutrality of the match. The features scheduled for next week Thursday in Rabat, Morocco, will determine who advances to the next stage of the qualifiers. The NFF protest follow remarks by South African Sport Minister, who publicly said he would prefer Nigeria not to qualify, accusing the Super Eagles of undermining South Africa's campaign. Meanwhile, the Confederation of African Football has announced sweeping reforms to its World Cup qualification process, including stricter referee selection, mandatory use of VAR, and tighter squad summation deadline. CAF says the changes are aimed at promoting transparency and reducing controversy, but some teams have criticized the timing as inappropriate. Nigeria faces Gabon, while Cameroon meets DR Congo, with both winners to contest the final spot in the international playoff. Bridget Agitu reporting.
Next is the thought for the day. Gratitude turns what we have into enough. That's the news, but before we go, here's a rundown of the major stories in our bulletin this evening. The State Governor, Right Honorable Sheriff Oberewori, has called for innovation, sustainability and equity in Nigeria's infrastructure development. Governor Oberewori, who made a call at the 30th meeting of the National Council on Works held in Ado-Ekiti, Ekiti State, said meaningful national growth could only be achieved through strong collaboration among all tiers of government and active participation of the private sector. President Bola Tinubu has pledged to strengthen global engagement and intensify the fight against terrorism and criminality in Nigeria. Speaking at the Federal Executive Council meeting yesterday in Abuja, the president said his administration remains committed to national unity and security under the Renewed Hope agenda. The federal government has announced new agricultural reforms aimed at ending hunger, boosting food production and cutting down post-harvest losses in the country. The Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, and the Minister of State, Senator Sabi Abdullahi, disclosed this in a joint statement. And abroad, Kenya calls for protection of its citizens in Tanzania. You can follow our news online on Facebook or YouTube at Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, or visit our website at www.dbsasaba.com. Thank you so much for being a part of the news. I am Ogaga Ikama. Good evening.